So now you have to say your thing again, Richie.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, no, and if you just repeat rough thing, then we just take it from there.
Okay. So basically, the proposal or what I want to discuss here is that this is related to rules, running the rules on when you load up the rules on multiple instances, all the instances will run the same set of rules. But in some cases, it may be preferable to just have one instance run the rule and have another instance more in a passive state. And have the ability to basically the second instance to be in a passive state until it needs to become active. So this way, like if the queries are not run multiple times, if you're querying from some external storage, so you're not having to query the same query many times. So today that's not really possible. Like the only way that that's possible is to like fully unload and reload the rules from the file system. So yeah, the proposal is basically to be able to do active passive without having to reload the rules from the file system.
I think half of us are reading the PR in
Sure.
the background as well. My initial gut is more on Julius's side there. So for context, I presume this is something which you want to have for Amazon Managed Prometheus to be able to basically reduce resource usage, correct?
Correct, yes. That is correct, yes.
I have to agree with Julius that this is something which doesn't seem to fit into Prometheus proper, so I'm trying to think of a way where there might be some place where this can be put which doesn't impact Prometheus in any way. But I'm currently coming up empty. Julian would be good in this call.
Yeah, I mean, Bartek also seems to have some context now. Julius itself, there he is. Okay, perfect. You just have to say Bartek all the time, then he shows up. Hello.
Hello.
We were just checking. Anand told us something about this issue 13630 about pausing and resuming a rule group evaluation, where you commented last month. And we are inconclusive if this is something we should have in Prometheus or not. Maybe you have. Nobody seems to have a strong opinion, but you have looked at it.
Yeah. So I just have an Amazon contributor, Amazon employee coming to me on KubeCon and discussing like why it's important for them. And I think what was the use case was that I think they were having this active passive rulers, right? And they want to switch immediately. So they want to disable some rules, have them configure, but not evaluated, essentially, right? So that's why they pose semantics. And they make a draft PR. And I remember Julius and others kind of being opposed in having like a hook or listener on like a small function which you can kind of build into to extend for them to import. And in my opinion, it's a small code to maintain, but yeah, I can see the both perspectives. So I'm not gonna fight very heavily here. I was just trying to be helpful for importers of Prometheus code.
It would be too problematic to have a like some separate process that removes and adds the rules as needed.
I mean, we would need to have employees of Amazon here, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm here. I'm the guy that opened the issue. So yeah, it is. There are other ways that are possible, but we thought that this may be. Just wanted to propose this as an option to see if there would be any appetite. Because what this does do is it doesn't, like, with this approach there wouldn't be any missed evaluations. See, it's a bit more, I guess, a bit more simpler to implement, but I'm sure that there are other options.
Sorry, if you are switching like activating and deactivating on separate Prometheuses, like how do you ensure that the rule evaluations happen on the same time? So when you deactivate in one, you don't miss on the other. I feel like there's some time skew problems.
The evaluation timestamp it's because it's slotted, it's the same on all the instances, unless there's a real clock skew on on the underlying instances running, right? Even if you run the rules on multiple instances, they all run at the exact same time.
Yeah.
With the same evaluation timestamp. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so it's a question about extension. I mean, we extend our code for other importers of our code base, right? Like Mimir, Thanos. Why not having Cortex and the team there? I don't see big reason for. Yeah, there is some complexity involved. Like here, it's not only one handler or whatever, but there is some kind of like go-routine change to make this happen. So, so there might be some alternatives that, I don't know, that are better. So for example, instead of this, there might be a method to pause, right? I think here you have this pre-evaluate hook handler, and maybe something to see if any like a pause method would be just simpler for everybody. So essentially external method pause and unpause or something like that. So maybe this is worth checking, but again, we got pushback from Julius, and that's it. And I don't have strong opinion.
I mean, my gut feeling is if nobody has strong opinions, we should say yes. But yeah, I don't know if Julius's concerns are like he doesn't tend to use strong words, but maybe he has still strong opinions.
Maybe worth double checking with Julius, but otherwise looks good. I guess.
I mean, there is the draft PR was after Julius's last comment, right? So we might ping Julius again. I mean, Bartek, you seem to be okay with it, and at least we could conclude that nobody here has a strong opinion against it. Although, as Richie said, we don't have huge quorum here.
Okay. Yeah, if folks that could not join today, if they can at least comment on GitHub, I can come back again the next time.
I mean, I think the problem is right now that this like rule manager stuff, there's the people who are currently most active, they are not very much concerned with this part of the code base. That's what it's my gut feeling here. So that's why nobody speaks up strongly either way, right? But yeah, if nobody speaks up strongly against it, then it's their fault. So in doubt, like Bartek, maybe you already commented, you might just ping that issue again and pinging Julian and Julius, J and J again. And then if they come with concerns, that's fair. And if not, you could just review that PR and lead it to something real.
Yeah, maybe something that will motivate this change is we could get some official maintainer for rule and manager codebase, right, from AWS. Would that be an option? So somebody who would maintain that for Cortex, but also for Prometheus. That would help for sure in the discussion, because that's an amazing benefit to the community generally. What do you think?
Who's that question for? I'm sorry.
I guess you. So if
Yeah, absolutely.
any colleague could be keen on joining maybe the team eventually, and helping us maintaining, maybe just focus rule manager right now, but yeah.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
So we could make that explicit.
Mhm.
But there is a bigger question, which sounds like we don't have an agreement. Like, sure, the code might be better or worse, but I think that Julius' comment was inconsistent with other stuff we have, right? So he said, this seems like too specific code change to me that is not needed in Prometheus itself, but that we then would have to maintain and not break over time. We have, like 10 other things in Prometheus like that, 10 other methods and logics that we maintain for other projects. So either we remove them to follow Julius' recommendation, or we agree as a team that we do that more, right? So I think this is something that we definitely would be nice to discuss. Maybe not now, but maybe specifically as a generic thing. What the crowd here thinks. Do you think we have agreement here or not? Because sounds like we might have a different opinions here.
I mean, I think we have agreed that we are open to changes in the code base that are only useful for other, like if it's used as a library, right? But I think Julius' point is this should be minimal changes and not too complex, but where to draw the line, right? I mean, I wouldn't even say it's so much about complexity, but about complexity you have actually in the code path. Like if you add some methods that Prometheus never calls, that's less bad than adding some code path that Prometheus goes through all the time, and it would not need to if you didn't even have that change.
Yeah, there are lots of else's in that PR, yeah. But maybe it's just how it could be implemented, yeah. For example, like there might be some rules, like you said, that we could establish. We could have some automation, like some standard comments that we use for methods which you shouldn't remove just because Prometheus doesn't use them. Yeah, like there might be some things to improve this external import, but yeah, the PR is tricky, the balance hard. Yeah, so maybe we need to review the PR as well. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Okay, but I mean, concretely, I think it's hard to find a generic rule, and we should decide in this case. I mean, maybe not here, but I think the course of action is maybe Bartek, since what I said, right? You already commented, you could say we discussed that at the Dev Summit. No, like overwhelming evidence either way, but if Julius and or Julian don't have any concerns, you tend to go forward with this change. And then, I mean, if they have concerns, that's fair, and we can see, yeah. And it's anyway, the Dev Summit, even if we were like full quorum, we would not make unrevocable decisions, right? It's always people who are not here can always object. But now we don't even have the people here in the meeting who could put in their weight for or against this decision. Okay, I'll write this down if so I just write this down without a formal consensus, because I think that doesn't really make sense in this constellation. Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, I will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think this is all indented too much. Ah, damn.
Yeah, sorry, I tried to get rid of that indent, but I'm not sure what happened there.
Ah, no. Not the magic button.
Magic.
Okay. Let's check. I mean, we got to this topic because Richie just kind of opened up the floor, but Arthur, you weren't there, and you have a new issue. I mean, most of the issues we already had last month, and they were all blocked because Josh or any other people heavily invested in Alert Manager weren't there. Like there's query screenshots notifications in the Alert Manager, correlation between an alert rule, and deprecation policy in Alert Manager. That's all stuff we cannot discuss without like Josh in the room, right? So, and he is still not in the room. So I think we still have to postpone all of them. Then we had the hysteresis thing, which still needs some kind of slide deck to even discuss. And then you have two new things, which is the one is the Kubernetes service discovery, where I would love to have Frederick or at least a bunch of people here. And then there's Arthur's thing, which we might just discuss, right? We might have the right people in the room. So should we do the Arthur thing, which is, what do you mean if you say OTLP supporting client libraries?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, I'll move this down then. Okay, Arthur, then you can quickly explain what this is about.
Yeah. So a few months ago, I think Gotham wrote a blog post on Prometheus blog about the commitment from Prometheus side to OTLP. One of the statements is that we are, I copied it, I already forgot. Let me check. One of the statement is, this would mean that any service instrumented with the Prometheus SDKs will also be able to push OTLP, and it will unlock the rich Prometheus exporter ecosystem for OpenTelemetry users. My doubt is, should we do this natively with only our client libraries, or are we fine with like our libraries more something else? They work together to enable this. Like for example, in Go, we already have like David from Google and OpenTelemetry. He already built a bridge, and this bridge with the client Golang work super well. That means that we don't need to import the OTLP Go libraries that are huge into our code base. We don't like, just keeps things very slim, and it works. But I'm not sure if like it's not developed by us, it's not on our organization. So what is our feeling towards this to client Golang, but also the broad client libraries ecosystem?
I mean, if I remember correctly from my client Golang days, that's intentionally designed that you can just add bridges without needing to have like internal. You don't have to access unexported variables and stuff, right? So we kind of community provided package, and my take on it would be if a bridge is super popular, we can put it into the repo. And I don't know if that means in general, what is it in Go? If you just have a different package but the same Go module that has tons of dependencies, do you still pull them all in even if the code isn't used? I forgot how that works.
I think so, yeah. If it's on Go mod, Go sum, it goes into the binary.
Yep.
Really? Even if it's never
Well,
called?
No, it'll do some tree pruning when building a binary, but it will certainly end up in your Go mod and Go sum, and can lead to people believing that it's all there, and it's still in their dependency closure and can still provide problems.
So if, for example, OpenTelemetry dependency has vulnerability, and 99% of users doesn't even use it, but we have it in the Go module, they have to fix their stuff, right? So that's very important kind of thing that happens in the path. By the way, we can add another module, right? And I think Arthur is asking, is external bridge totally all right? Or we have to have Go module with this bridge or some kind of additional functionality inside the client Golang directly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think where this comes from is to make the other client libraries sort of get to feature parity with what the Java client did, right? That's the motivation.
And I mean, that's not like how to phrase that. That's not strictly required, right? I mean, it might be nice, but it doesn't keep anyone if it's an external bridge in client Golang, and if it's built into client Java, I mean, is that so bad, right? I think it's also like.
Yeah, the question was not really focused on client Golang. It was just an example. In client Golang, we kind of solved with a bridge built by David. On Java, it's built into the client Java. I'm just asking if we are fine with either approach, or if we have some strict rules with what we mean, like fully committing to OTLP.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm very relaxed in this, but you like, I think you nailed it by saying, can this be sold as full commitment, right? If the full commitment for quote unquote marketing purposes requires that all those bridges are part of the official repo, so be it, right? I mean, it's not the worst thing that can happen.
Personal opinion, I'm fine with community built bridges, like, as long as like people that we have close contact with, like some random, like, well, I don't know, some random library with 1 star, like used by 2 things, and maybe that's not enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think many things can be said about OTel, but there's definitely a lot of interaction between OTel and Prometheus, and the people working on OTel are, I mean, they're as trustworthy as you can have it in an open source project. So I think in this particular case, I don't see a problem. We could even like have a bridge. I mean, in this case, if that's better for client Golang, have that just in client Golang, but put in the maintainers file that these other people maintain that part of the code base. I mean, if they like to.
Sounds good.
But even then, like I wouldn't like create a decree from heaven that every Prometheus library must have a built-in hotel bridge if there's an hotel bridge that you can just use, like link in essentially. I mean, if people really want that, we could reconsider that, but I don't think we need to mandate that.
Perfect.
That's my opinion. Like I'm
aligned. Like I don't know if we want to call it consensus then.
Yeah, I don't know. Richie is back here now. Richie, what's your personal criterion for making like those green consensus things? Should we, like, what's your gut feeling? Do we have enough people for something like that right now?
Basically, the main one is quorum, and that we have come to a conclusion in the discussion. I'm now on mobile because something is weird with the Wi-Fi here. I think we have 4 team members, but I can't see the full list. Do we have 4?
We have 6.
6 team members. The 5th.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who's number 6?
Bjorn, Bartek, Callum, Rich, myself, and Young. 6.
What was the last?
Young,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
mostly working on the 3 release, so maybe that doesn't fully
Yeah, so I mean, if we want to be formal, Jan is not a team
Okay.
member. But like I think also it should be weighted if you have the relevant people in the room, right? And we have Bartek here and Artur, who are 2/3 of the client Golang maintainers. So
Yeah, but again, it was the point was not focused on client Golang.
yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so we have I mean, for Java it's already built in, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have the Python people here, we don't have the Ruby people here, we don't have the Rust people here. So from that perspective, I would say it's I mean, then again, if the consensus were all client libraries have to include this from now on, then this would be much needed more buy-in than if we just say people should use their best judgment and do whatever they see fit, right?
One thing which we did in the past is to basically just write a summary in uppercase, but not call it consensus and not have it green. So we basically sidestep the issue of do we have quorum and just make it a little bit easier to find that we have a conclusion.
Yeah, we don't have Gautam, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's cool also because the current consensus in the room is we don't want to give a strict guideline here, right? So that might not even need to be spelled out as an explicit thing. And then if Gautam thinks that's really bad for if we want this official commit, we should also officially commit that all client libraries support it in their own repo, then we can still reconsider.
Why is this so hard?
Why this is so hard? Well, it's.
I'm fat fingering all the time.
I mean, the whole call is watching you type, so.
that they should implement auto support directly in this case, or
I'm just going to flip the case, but don't let me. Like so?
Yeah, sounds good.
I basically just typed what you typed in
Yeah.
inverse case and fixed one grammar thing. And I introduced a spelling mistake.
Thank you.
All right. Let's make this one big so we know it's kind of like not full consensus, but kind of. Okay. What should we tackle next? We do have Bartek now, so
So, I mean, we were just, when you were offline, we went through it. I think the three big alert manager stuff, it really doesn't make, I mean, we had even Simon last month, and he said he needs Josh for that, right? Or maybe there are others in alert manager who are active there to discuss this, but it doesn't, I mean, right now, I think we have nobody who is anywhere close to active alert manager development, so I don't think it makes sense to discuss this without them. And then the hysteresis thing is also kind of, I mean, it's also in Prometheus, but we concluded we need some kind of slide deck for that because we had this discussion before, we just had no conclusion. And then the internationalization thing is an ancient topic that I think we put there because it's a very fundamental decision if we even want this at all. And then again, this might require quorum. I don't know if there are people in the room who feel strongly about this. And then the final thing is the Kubernetes multi-port thing, which is an ancient topic that I was hoping we can tap into expertise of people who are using this in practice, or like Frederick, who is the maintainer of the Kubernetes SD. Because we had this in the box club, and it was like nobody in the box club could come to a conclusion. I mean, yeah.
Not really related to the issue itself, but I was thinking we could propose more Kubernetes SD maintainers. I think there are a lot of people very active there.
Yeah, and Frederick isn't, right? I pinged him on the issue, and he didn't respond yet. I don't know how long ago that was. Okay, but nobody is a self-declared Kubernetes SD expert in this room, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Then
Should we just call this one early?
we could ask people if anyone wants to discuss anything, like with our first topic, right? It's your chance to skip the queue. And otherwise, we can call it early.
Sounds like an early call today.
Yeah.
Okay. May we're certainly doing for June, and then July, August we can debate when we have the call. I suspect we're going to end with not having the July and August call as per usual, but May and June. It feels a summary, but that's probably also the trouble. Anyway, I'm babbling. Old Prometheus Dev Summit has just finished uploading to YouTube. It's been transcoded, and I'll upload this after. So.
Okay, cool. And then you will update the links in the meeting notes, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Cool. See you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.